Hi, my name is Denis Belitsky, and in this very important video, I'm going to show you the insights about how super affiliates think, how to create a profitable campaign on Facebook, and actually all the tweaks you have to have in mind in order to make it profitable. So make sure to take a lot of notes because this is going to be very, very cool. Now, here I am logged into my ads manager, and you have a couple of ads. So let's create on the ad button, create an ad. And the first thing you're going to see is actually something like this. It's going to give you a couple of options, and most of the people don't know how to use them. So here you have all the options. The first option is page post engagement, and actually nobody is using this. Okay, super affiliates would never use this button. Now, why we wouldn't use this? Well, because it will give you more shares and comments and likes. Now, here's one thing you need to understand: nobody eats the likes. You don't need the likes. Okay. Why? Because it's very hard to monetize those likes in the first place. So actually, nobody would drive those likes just for having them. Okay. Now, here's a couple of things you need to know about the likes. And actually, I do use the second option, which is the page likes. When do I need the likes? First of all, if I need some social proof in order to show somebody and actually say, hey, I have so many likes. Or for instance, if I'm using a FunGate, okay, if I'm using a FunGate, then yes, I would drive a like campaign. And what a FunGate is basically a software that allows you to redirect after people like your page, to redirect them to any place you want. In that case, I do use page likes, but I would never just target page likes just for having them, because you're not going to be profitable. Next is the most important and the most used options. Clicks to website, because you can drive traffic outside Facebook to any website you want, or to affiliate link, or to just website with sales letter or whatever. Okay. Website conversions, if you are the owner of the website, and actually you can create a tracking link. Okay, it's a tracking code. You insert that into your website, to the thank you page, or if you have a good relationship with the owner of the website, then just use this always. Okay, app installs, what's going to allow you to do is actually make Facebook do all the hard work for you and target the app installs, and I do use this option. But I never use app engagement, because what's going to do for you is actually it's going to allow you to have get more activity to your app. You don't need this. Now, these two options are very, very cool. Event responses is actually those people that are going to click on the special button that's going to say assist or claim the event. Facebook is going to mail them. Okay, they're going to send them a special mail with all the details. So if you're promoting webinar, this is very, very cool. And offer claims, if you have a special code on an offer, this is a very, very cool feature, because again, Facebook mails those people who actually click on claim. So this is a very cool option. Now, in this video, what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to click on clicks to website, and I'm going to enter an example. And let's say that this is going to be google.com. Now, I would never drive traffic to google.com. Okay, this is just an example. But here's something very special you need to know about the links. You can have tracking ID if your network is allowing you to do that. So for instance, ClickBank has this option, which is the TID or tracking ID, and the syntax is $TID equals, and of course your tracking ID. Now let's say that we're going to be targeting women. It's going to be 30 years old to 40 years old, and it's going to be US, for instance, and they're going to have a very special interest or something like that. Okay, so that's how you know what are you tracking. Women 30-40 US, okay, and TID equals. This is the ClickBank syntaxes. Now, there's many different CPA networks that will allow you to have something like this. TID1, for instance, equals, and your TID. And of course, you can add more. Okay, now how do you do that? Do something like this. And TID2 equals, etc., and your TID. So this is something that you have to be using all the time. All of the super affiliates, we all use this. Okay, we always tracking all the time. Now let's click on this link. Okay, because what Facebook is going to do is actually it's going to allow you to start this ad. Okay, and here's a couple of things you need to know. First of all, the most important thing that will determine the click-through rate is the image in the first place, which is going to be determining 70% of your success or the click-through rate. In the second place, the headline, about 25%, and 5% the text. Okay. Now, here's a couple of things you need to know. First of all, you can add a button to your ad if you are targeting desktop newsfeed. How to do this? Well, just click here. And by the way, this is a very new option. Facebook added this like 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago, something like that. What I do is actually I use learn more always, most of the times actually, because shop now, book now. Shop now, if you're telling people to buy from the beginning, well, it could kill your conversions. But learn more is something very cool. And of course, download, that's another one. So learn more is my, it's my preference. Now, the headline, the most important thing is actually, what I do is actually I always use questions in the first place. And I would say something like how to lose weight, okay? And of course, a question mark. And what it's going to do is actually it triggers something in the human's head, and it makes us think the answer to the question. Of course, the answer to the question is going to be the text or the call to action. So you always have to most of the times I ask question the headline, and I create direct calls to action in the text. Now, this would be something very, very broad, but for instance, and this is the key to very profitable campaigns, you need to have a unique angle. So let's say that instead of how to lose weight, you say Oprah's secret fat buster, okay, in a question mark, okay, or weird, or all those power words. I call them the power words. Okay, weird, secret, something that makes you think that you don't know about this. Okay, of course, text. Oprah was embarrassed to share that this weird food made her lose 13 kilos of fat in 30 days. Learn here, blah blah blah. What's the food? And of course, people want to know. Again, if we're talking about secret, you never tell the secret. Okay, you just open the question, people will want to know. Okay, that's how you use it. Now let's talk about the image. First of all, well, Facebook what's going to do is actually going to take the image from the link. Now in this case it's Google. Again, Google is just an example. I'm not going to promote Google, but still, let's click on Browse Library. And I'm going to show you a couple of images I use. I use weird faces. Okay, and this is something very cool. I use this a lot. And these faces will make you have higher click-through rates. Look at this. I'm going to browse the library. Here's another one. This one works very, very well. This is a very, very weird face. And by the way, let me choose the Facebook page I'm going to be using, because one of the things you need to understand is that Facebook only allows you to drive traffic to a news feed if you have a fan page. And that's why I create my fan pages. Okay, look at this. Here's one of the weird images. Let me open the other one I just showed you. It's this one. And by the way, two things you need to know about the images. First of all, women's faces outperform any image out there possible. I use women's faces all the time because they have the highest click-through rates. And again, the bigger the images in the news feed, the higher is going to be the click-through rate. It's very, very key, because if you have a high click-through rate, what's going to happen is you're going to be able to pay less money per click. Remember that. That's very, very key. Okay, so a couple of them, just to give an example, if we're talking about Oprah, here it is. I searched for Oprah. I found her face, but I use weird images. Look at this. she has a very weird look. Okay, Oprah's weird fat buster. And of course, if you click here, you're going to be able to add a conversion tracking we've been talking about. So actually, if again you're the owner of the page, you're going to be able to put the tracking link or to put the tracking code into that page, and you're going to be able to track your sales or your conversions. Very, very key. And of course, you have to click here, newsfeed link description, and you're going to add some description. Okay, look at this. What's going to happen is you're going to have this link description here. Okay, so this being said, let's move, and I'm going to show you a couple of secrets about this is how super affiliates think. Okay, we think in a very, very different way, because you have to be very specific with your campaigns if you want to make money. So first of all, let's talk about the location. Now, what I would never do is something like this. Let's say United States, United Kingdom, Canada, and so on. Now, why wouldn't I do this? First of all, even though Canada, United Kingdom, United States, they all talk the same language, which is English, actually the bidding is different. So let's say that the bidding for the dating niche for the United States is going to be about 20 cents, and you could have 15 cents per click. And if we're talking about United Kingdom, it's going to be like 10 cents. So what's going to happen is, if you're targeting different locations in the same ad, Facebook is going to make you pay the same amount of money per each click. And of course, the maximum one. Now, in the case of the United States, is 15 to 20 cents, or 25 maybe. And if we're talking about United Kingdom, it's like 10 cents. So you're going to be losing a lot of money. So never, ever, ever, ever do this, okay? Just take it out, create another campaign for Canada and another campaign for United Kingdom. You never do that, okay? In the second place, the age range. Most of the people don't know that the best age range to start with 30 years. Not 20, not 25, but 30. There's a lot of people that would, target men in the dating niche starting 20 years old, and what's going to happen is you're going to lose a lot of money. The best age ranges in the most cases, if I'm talking about games actually, but in the most cases, in 95% of all my campaigns, I start with 30 years. Now, here's another secret. What I would do is I would never do something like this. 30 no max, well, unless I have tested, of course. But in this case, if I'm just starting, I would never ever do this. What I would do is I would go from 30 to 35 or 30 to 40 years old just to test it. Okay, remember the tracking link we were talking about, and we said well, in this case it was Google, but still, if I remember, we said women 30-40 US, and that's how I would do this. All the super affiliates will always do the same thing. Now let's talk about the gender. Most of the times we would use only men or only women, and we would be very, very, very specific about this. Very, very specific. Now here's another thing I wanna show you. Let's talk about the language. Let's say that we're targeting, we have a proven campaign, and we're targeting United States, 30 no max. And again, this is a proven campaign. I know that converts. Okay, if I don't know this campaign converts, I would start with 30-40. And let's say that we're targeting 60 million people here. Now, watch what's going to happen if I enter the language. Okay, and let's say it's going to be English. Okay, we're talking to the United States. Click here. Look what happened. We have 58 million people. We just lost 2 million people. Now, here's the insights about this. And I've seen this mistake too many times. If we're talking about the United States, most of the people would say, well, in the United States, they all speak English, so no need to target English in languages. Well, you know what? You're wrong. Not all the people that live in the United States, they actually speak English. So there's a lot of people that speak only Spanish or only Chinese. They have their profiles in Spanish or Chinese or whatever language they speak, and they don't speak English. So what's going to happen is you could be wasting a 2 million potential reach and those people who don't even understand your ad, and your click-through rate is not going to be so good, and therefore you're not going to be paying the less amount of money possible. Okay, so remember this. If you're targeting country, use the language. I always do the same thing. Okay, I'm always very, very, very specific about my campaigns. So what I would do, and this is just an example, I would target United States, age 30-40, women, English all. Okay, let's say that I am doing lose weight. Now, here's the worst mistake about creating ads, and I've seen this mistake too many times. I've seen this thousands of times. So most of the people, what they would do is actually they would come to the interest and they would say, well, if I'm targeting women and on the United States and they want to lose weight, what I would do is actually they go to interest and they just start typing lose weight. Okay. Burn fat, weight loss, and so on. And they would go like for 30-40 interests. Well, that's the worst mistake you could ever do. Don't ever do this. And I'm going to tell you why right now. First of all, you need to split test and know what interest is actually bringing you the conversions in the first place. In the second place, so what I would actually do, if I'm targeting an interest, I would go interest by interest, 1 or 2 at most, okay? Not 10 or 20. That's the worst mistake. In the second place, most of the people don't know that sometimes you don't need any precise interest. And how's that? Well, basically you have 2 types of targetings, okay? You have 2 types of products. The first type of products is actually a broad product. A good example of that would be lose weight, okay? And I know for sure, you can ask any woman you want, any woman wants to lose weight from 30 years old. So what I would do if I was promoting lose weight, I would do something like this. No precise interests. Why? Because I already have enough targeting. I'm talking about United States, 30, 40, women, and I don't need that. Now, this is something that has to do with a very broad product. Now, there are broad products and, of course, the second type of specific product. So if you're promoting, let's say, a cream on wrinkles, then you need to understand that you have to have precise interests, okay? And, of course, a precise interest would be skincare, for instance, okay? And another precise interest would be shopping. Now, you can be asking yourself, well, Dennis, but why shopping? We're talking about wrinkles. Well, basically, if you're targeting women, let's say from 50, okay, to 55, what's going to happen is, and of course you're targeting all those women that actually love shopping, those are buyers. Those are people who buy. And you need to understand the psychology behind this. Now, let me give you another example. There's a lot of people that may say, well, Dennis, okay, let's say the dating niche, okay? In the dating niche, I would go to a ground zero. This is a term you need to understand and you need to know. Ground zero or latitude zero is something that has to do with a very precise interest that will give you the understanding if this offer is converting. Now, if we're talking about the dating niche, what I would do is actually I would go to men 30 to 40, 40 to 50, 50 plus, and I would go to my ground zero precise interest, which is Match.com. Now, Match.com is a dating site that has to do with finding couples. So what I would do, again, I would go for, United States, man, let's say I would click here, more demographics, and I would go to relationship status, okay? Instead of having all these options like in a relationship, married, engaged, not specified, I would only go for single. Look at this. Look how the targeting changes. If you have very specific targets, very, very specific clicks, you are going to be profitable. Now, another example would be, let's say, the prepping niche. The prepping niche is a niche about all those people who are actually preparing themselves for the end of the world. And here's something that you need to understand about those people. They don't trust the government. Okay, they think that the government will at some point, just screw everything up and a disaster is going to come. Okay, so what most of the people would do is actually they would go and target, United States, only men or only women, and a precise interest like, end of the world. End of the world, and or the end or something like that, and have like 20 precise interests. Well, you're not going to be profitable with that campaign. And here's the thing, you need to understand human psychology. Now, what I would do here is actually I would target all those people who are conservatives in that country. United States, well, a good example would be Glenn Beck, okay? So by targeting all those conservative people who are very, very famous, and of course who are against the government, you are targeting the same kind of people who actually agree with them. Because if they like Glenn Beck, and this is just an example, all of those people are actually interested or have some background to this. Again, you need to understand human psychology. So if we're talking about the prepping niche, for instance, most of those people are not single, okay? Most of those people are married or in a relationship, okay? Because those are, father of family who is concerned about their family, about their future, and he wants to save the family. That's why he's a prepper, okay? Most of the times, preppers are not single. Very, very key. So if you understand human psychology, you're going to be very, very profitable in the first place. And in the second place, you need to know that you have to be very specific. Now, let me show you a couple of more tricks. Okay, and actually I'm going to end this video, and I hope you're taking notes. I gave you a lot of insights about super affiliates. First of all, the budget I would choose would be per day and was $10 or $20 at most. Now, why would I do this? Because what's going to happen is in the first days, Facebook is going to give you a lot of impressions and it's going to test your CTR. If your click-through rate is good, what's going to happen is your bidding or the amount of money you pay per click is going to go down, which is very key. So at the beginning, you just test. Okay. In the second place, if you're bidding for clicks, what I would do is actually I would manually set your maximum bid for clicks, and I would go for the maximum, which is 35. Again, why would I do this? Well, because basically it's all about the CTR. So if you're bidding the most, Facebook is going to give you the best positions. And of course, if it gives you the best positions, after sometimes if you have good CTR, the cost per click is going to go down. I know it sounds weird, but believe me, this is how it works. And don't ever be afraid of bidding, okay? There's a lot of people that are afraid bidding, like $1 per click. I'm never afraid of that, okay? So with this being said, this is all of the things you learned today. First of all, you don't need the likes. You don't need the likes. And actually, if you're only targeting the likes and if you don't have a fun gate, you're not going to be profitable. Trick number 2, I showed you, is that you always have to use TIDs if your network allows you, so you know what ad is converting. Trick number 3, you learned today, is actually you need to do questions, and actually you need to understand human psychology and direct call to actions in the text. And of course, the most important thing about your ads and the click-through rate of your ads is the actual image. You have to use weird images, and that women's faces outperforms any image out there. Okay, the next trick you learned that you need only to use one location, because you may lose a lot of money if you don't do that. The next trick I show you today is that you have to go from ages from 10 to 10 years or 5 to 5 years in order to test. Don't ever go from 20 to 50 or something like that. You're not going to be profitable. And of course, the other thing you learned is actually if you're targeting ages from 30 to 40, most of the times you're not going to be profitable. Okay. Another thing you learned is that if you target the same language as the country, you're going to be able to filter all those people that don't actually speak that language and live in that country. So your CTR is going to go up. Next thing is the ground zero you learned today, and actually you need to understand the psychology of those people who you are targeting. Okay, so depending on the niche, you need to find that latitude 0 point, okay, that precise interest they're all interested. And again, another trick, that's too many tricks for today. And another trick you learned today is that you have to target 1 or at least 2 interests per campaign. If you do more, you're not going to be able to know what interest is converting for you, and therefore you're not going to be profitable. Okay. And the last trick I showed you today is that the budget should be starting $10 per day, not 100, not 50, and that you should be bidding in the most cases the maximum amount per click. Okay. So with this being said, I hope you took a lot of notes. I revealed you many secrets. My name is Denis Bielitsky. I'll see you next time with more stuff. Okay, so that's gonna be cool. See you next time.